In grade 11, we have two passing progressions that we will discuss. The first progression being 1 to 564 to 1. Sorry, this marker isn't very clear. So that is 1, 564 to 1. And the other being 4, 164 to 4. Now, in both of these cases, we have a symmetrical progression, meaning that the middle chord will always be the 6/4 chord, and on either side we have a chord, in one case the chord 4, and in the other case the chord 1. What makes this less symmetrical, though, is that in both of these progressions, one of the chords on the outside has to be in first inversion. So we either have a 1/6 at the beginning or a 1/6 at the end, or a 4/6 at the beginning and a 4 and or we have a 4/6 at the beginning or a 4/6 at the end. What is important to remember about this progression is that it always has to occur on a weak beat. The 6/4 chord always occurs on a weak beat, meaning in a 4/4 time signature, the 6/4 can never be on beat 1, but it can also never be on beat 3 in a 4/4 time signature, because beat 1 and 3 are our strongest beats. It is for this reason that or at least in the examples that we will be looking at, you always have 3/4, which then helps us to keep in mind that it's always on 1, 2, 3, with 2 being the weakest beat. That is where the 6/4 chord will happen. So let's look at what this looks like on manuscript paper. So what we have here is Van Locherenberg's textbook, cutout of Van Locherenberg's textbook. Here we have the information that I covered at the beginning. What is important here is that we will always have the same voice movement in every single version of this chord. One of our voices will always be moving upwards stepwise. One of our voices will always be moving downwards stepwise. There will always be one of our voices staying the same, and we will always have one voice moving in a triangle pattern. What does this look like in a worked out example? So here we have the first pattern, 1, 2, 3, moving upwards. And we see it worked out as this GAB movement. We have one voice staying the same, that's the D. We have one voice moving downwards, 3, 2, 1. And we have this voice moving in the triangle, that is the 8, 7, 8. So I use these numbers instead of the note names, and the reason for that is we are talking about the scale degrees. So with 1 in G major being a G, 2 being A, 3 being C, and so on. And once again, you'll see here we have the first inversion chord, second inversion chord, and root position. We have root position, second inversion, and first inversion. And you'll always see it this way. Like I said at the beginning, you'll always have a first inversion chord on one of the sides of your second inversion chord. Now, I also said that we have a 1-6-4 progression, and like I said at the beginning as well, the pattern remains the same. So we have one voice moving stepwise in opposite directions. That's the 4-5-6 or 6-5-4. One voice remains the same, and we have our triangle pattern. Looking at the worked out examples, here we have one voice staying the same, one voice moving in our triangle, one voice stepwise down, and one voice stepwise up. And we have a third passing chord. However, this chord is not a 6-4, it is a 7-6. But the rules for the 7-6 are also slightly different from the 6-4. Like indicated here, two of our voices move in a triangle pattern, and the two outside voices move either up or down, contrary to each other. So in our worked out examples of the passing 7-6, we have an 8-7-8, there we go, 8-7-8, and 3-2-1, 1-2-3 on the outside.